So the next generation of iPhones were just released, and I thought this video was going to be titled, "Why I'm Upgrading My Battery, Not My Phone." But Apple actually made enough changes where I have some things to consider now. So as I've mentioned in my past videos, I'm still on my trusty iPhone 11 5 years later, but with the trade-in value of this starting to really decrease, it's time to make a decision. As of right now, the biggest way my iPhone 11 is falling behind is of course the battery, and it's pretty bad. It's at, I think, 78% max capacity. It has a little alert saying, hey, you should really get this replaced, and you can get it replaced. But then that question now becomes, what else can I actually gain by putting that money towards a new phone that eventually I'm gonna need anyways, especially considering the iPhone 11 is one of the last phones still supporting the latest iOS. I actually watched the Apple event live. That was the first one I actually ever watched, and I actually thought it was super cool. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Granted, I was also eating a Chipotle burrito at that time, so my answer might be a little biased. There was the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max, and also the new one, the iPhone Air. I'm not sure who would really buy that, but I'll get into that. Just because I'm not bothered by a lot of the features in the iPhone 11 doesn't mean that I wouldn't love to have some of the upgraded ones in the new phones. Like, if I were to spend the money on a new phone, I would at least expect it to have a slightly bigger screen, a better quality display, some newer camera features, USB-C, and this one's just a personal one, but I would love to have the dynamic island. I just think that's cool. And of course, better battery life, but I don't really think it could get much worse. And I think that is a completely fair list. But just based on that, the iPhone 16 or even 15 should still suffice. But there are a few things with the new lineup that I think really puts it ahead. So starting with the iPhone 17, I'm gonna go over what stands out to me the most. And the first one is the ProMotion display. Now I have that on my MacBook and I love it. And I think it's never been on just like the base model standard iPhones. Every single phone here in their new lineup has it, and I think that's a pretty big upgrade. The smoother the better, in my opinion. And of course it also has the dynamic island, which I don't know why I like that. I think it's cool. I want it. And side by side with the iPhone 16, it does look pretty much identical. That is not the case with the other two phones here. Now they also mentioned that having a brighter display and also a less reflective display. Now I'm not sure how that compares to something like nano texture, which I did get on my MacBook, but I am personally a fan of less reflective displays. Now I don't actually know that much about phone chips. It has the new A19, which compared to the A13 in my iPhone 11, I can tell it's going to be an upgrade at least. Actually, on their website where it says worth the upgrade, see for yourself, the lowest phone to compare to the 17 is the 13. So yeah. Now the cameras are better than the 16, but the biggest jump is in the ultra wide angle, which according to Apple is 4 times the resolution. And they also added some pretty cool upgrades and features to the selfie front cam. And I think another nice upgrade here is the starting storage being 256 gigs instead of the 128 that came with the 16. 256 gigs is 4 times what's in my iPhone 11. This is 64 gigs. I don't know how I'm managing with that, but hey, I get it done. And all of that while still launching at the same price that the 16 did last year at $799. To put that into perspective, if you take their budget phone, the 16E, and upgrade it to the same amount of storage, that is only $100 cheaper. Within that only $100 difference, you're getting way better features, and I think just a way better overall value deal. I think this is gonna be the phone that most people buy. I mean, they upgraded a lot of things that needed to be upgraded and kept the price the same. I think this is gonna be selling pretty well. And I don't know if this is a hot take, but with Apple's brand new phone, the iPhone Air, I don't think that that's gonna sell well. Again, it has the ProMotion display and it has a slightly bigger screen than the base iPhone 17 at 6.5 inches. But just generally, I think this is a very nice looking phone. They also added the sky blue as a color, which for the M4 MacBook Air was one of the most popular ones that I think was well received. And I think it just does a good job of adapting kind of a lot of the core principles of the other Air devices. You know, it's power efficient, it's slim, it's clean looking. And like the MacBook, I hoped it would have been the cheapest option. That's not the case. And along with that, I have 2 other main concerns. One is the speakers, or should I say speaker. There's only one at the top by the earpiece. On the bottom, that's only microphones. So like you can comfortably call and hear the other person, but I feel like that might be kind of a bummer if you're ever listening to a YouTube video or something, like my YouTube videos. No one watches these. Oh, that's a shame. And the second one is the battery. On the live event, all they said was all day battery. And then with the other phones, they gave like exact numbers. As you can see here though, on the comparison of the Air and 17, when you scroll down, it says 27 hours of video playback and 30 hours of video playback. But I also didn't like how in the live event, they're pushing how well it works with the MagSafe charger. But I feel like that's kind of solving a problem they created. Like, I really do want to love this phone. It's something cool. It looks really nice. But the thinness was just never a problem for me. It doesn't really solve anything, especially since it starts at $1,000. So I'd end up spending $200 more than the base model 17 to get less camera options, less battery life, the need to go out and buy a MagSafe charger to compete in that sense, and a slightly bigger display. Like, I don't really see the point of that other than for it just to, you know, sit there and look pretty, which it can definitely do that. I mean, I think just ingenuity wise, it's amazing that they can fit it in something this thin. And I mean, it looks amazing, but I just don't know who it's for. I mean, I do know that it's not for me. Now for the 17 Pro, this is where the fun begins. The upgrades are pretty significant, and God, this makes my decision a whole lot harder. First off, I just want to say I actually like the design and not just the colors, even though that deep blue color, that's nice. That's real nice. You know, in terms of this little top section here, I actually think it looks kind of good. And I am gathering that that is a slightly unpopular opinion, but I feel like that'll grow on people. But that's not the only thing that grew here, because according to Apple, the camera sensors are 56% bigger. And I made a video comparing my iPhone 11 camera to my Sony FX3, and a lot of the noticeable differences actually were related to the size of the camera sensor. That combined with the new up to 8 times optical zoom, which I believe is a 200mm equivalent, and just like on the 15 and 16 Pro, the Apple ProRes log, you can get some really nice video out of this. Now, what I wasn't expecting them to release as a feature is the ability to record internal Apple ProRes RAW on apps like Blackmagic Camera and I think Final Cut Camera. Like, that's just insane that that's possible. Even if I did buy this, I wouldn't even know what to do with the RAW. I would just stick with log. And as you can see from macro through all of the optical focal lengths available, I think it's probably the most feature-packed phone camera ever. And with all of the improvements they made, it is the longest lasting battery they have ever made in a phone, and they claim up to 39 hours of video playback. The 17 Pro will cost you about $1,100, and the 17 Pro Max will cost you about $1,200, unless you decide to opt for their brand new 2TB internal storage upgrade, which will make it $2,000. But that feature is only available on the Pro Max. Just on the regular Pro, you can go up to 1TB. So the question is, do I spend $80 to replace the battery and milk another 1 to 2 years out of my iPhone 11? Or do I pick up something new, and if so, which one? With this newest lineup, upgrading wouldn't just fix the battery problem, it would also just improve a lot of general quality of life things like cameras, like screen resolution and refresh rate. Things like the ports would now be USB-C, and some features like Dynamic Island, as well as just future-proofing for iOS. And because of that, I do think it is worth a full upgrade. But now it's a matter of finding which one suits me the best. Well, as much as it looks good, we can get rid of the iPhone Air immediately. If it was the cheapest one, then maybe I would consider it, but yeah, no. Now for the 17 Pros, they have some pretty crazy video capabilities. I'm a big video guy, you know, it's kind of my thing. My only hesitation is I have a Sony FX3, which is like a real video camera. And for not only how often, but also just the general use case of when I use an iPhone camera, I'm not sure it's worth it to get the Pro. I mean, if someone just said pick a random iPhone to get for free, I would obviously pick the 17 Pro. In fact, I would pick the Pro Max. I'm a fan of the bigger screen. But you know, since it's my own money, it just might be a little more phone than I need. When it comes to regular everyday tech, I'm usually pretty conservative with what I buy. So for things like laptops or cameras or lenses or things I can use for work, I can go pretty overkill on that. Like realistically, as far as phones go, I've fallen with the majority of people. So buying what the majority of people would probably buy, the base iPhone 17 is likely what's going to be best for me. Like, this one is everything I need. This one is everything I want. And is getting the features like the bigger screen and more video capabilities worth the $400 price difference for a device I'm probably gonna keep for 5 to 6 years? That's what I gotta figure out. But I gotta say, no matter which way the apple crisp crumbles on that one, I think it is unfortunately time to put the iPhone 11 to rest. So, I mean, if you have any insight to offer, feel free to let me know. I'm gonna be in these comments quite a bit, and of course, when I do make a decision, I will be making videos on it, all right? So if you're gonna be interested in that, feel free to subscribe, but thank you for watching.